Alright, Gozyuger episode 21, I just got done watching it, so I'm going to give my thoughts and ramble on for however long this video is going to go on for. But Gozyuger episode 21. This episode I'm sure a lot of people would call a quote-unquote filler episode, but we did have some interesting plot threads that are being sewed within this episode, because even though it does seem like a silly, goofy episode, it's still got a lot of things that's going on with the mainline plot of the series that is going to impact the show moving forward. So although some people might look at this episode and be like silly, goofy, funny summer festival episode, it's got a lot of important things going on with the main plot within the show. So episode 21 is titled Burning Festival Spirit, Tegasword Summer. And of course, with the title of the episode, it's a summer festival episode, and like the preview said, there's a festival based on Tegasword, which comes into play later on in the episode. But this week's episode picks up where the last episode left off on, where Fire Candle had gotten the Shinkenja powers, and you don't get to see him sort of make do of the Rangers right away. He decides to fight Horu another time because he's like, Gozu Wolf, I'll deal with you now. Now's not the best time to sort of show off my brand new powers. So with that going on, he decides to dip, and Suina's sister Otto, she's passed out because she needs the ring to sort of stay awake because, you know, she was sort of cured from wearing the ring, but not really because, you know, some people said I wasn't paying attention to the dialogue, and that's true, I might have not caught on to that properly. But we get a glimpse of the grey-eyed figure that we've heard so much about. Now, I won't go into who this grey-eyed figure is so far. I think we just know his name is Ray from what we know of so far. But they're played by Go Buster Blue from Go Busters. And I won't go into what Universal Warrior they're going to be. If you watch the episode, you probably know from the previews. But it's pretty cool with the Universal Warrior they're going to be playing in next week's episode. So the whole premise of this episode is there's a festival going on, the Rangers decide to join it, there's a monster of the week there being a festival monster, and of course the Green Ranger challenges them to a party off, and hijinks ensue. And there's a lot of fun gags within this episode. I mean, you got Mashiro where he's deciding to help out with the festival, so he makes these like banana chocolate coated treats, and he charges them like 5,000 yen for it, like 500,000 yen for them, like a lot of money. And he says that's how he's going to save the festival, which that was a fun little gag because, you know, he's all about money and sort of collecting debts and stuff like that. So of course he's going to be charging overpriced food. And as someone who's been to their fair share of concerts and festivals and stuff like that, seeing Mashiro's prices and remembering how much I paid for a bottle of water or a snack at a festival or a concert, looking back on it, those prices weren't really highway robbery compared to Mashiro's prices in the end. But you do have scenes in this episode where you do have Byakuya and Bouquet having their little talk, and they have their little moments, which those two characters are really interesting because, you know, there's a thing going on between them. You can tell that Bouquet definitely has a crush on Byakuya, but she doesn't know it's the Blue Ranger, and there's something going on between them. So I do wonder how that storyline's going to go down once they discover each other's true identities, and that should be really interesting, or when she discovers his true identity, because each episode when you see Bouquet in the episode, she doesn't seem that villainous compared to the other ones. She's just there for the sake of being there. Now, there has been theories that she might be actually Suino's sister and stuff like that. You never actually know. I think that theory might be out the window with last week's episode, but I get the feeling she's going to turn good later down the line, or maybe she'll get her own Ranger form eventually in the show. I don't really know at this point, but, you know, she doesn't seem that evil compared to the other characters we've met in the show, although they don't seem that evil compared to, like, Kyun, the Ring Hunter, Horu's brother, who seems like the most evilest and corruptest out of all of them. The other Rangers are, not the other Rangers, the other villains, apart from like Miss Sweet Tooth and Shining Cake, whatever they're fucking called, they seem villainous, but like the human characters like Fire Candle and Bouquet, they don't necessarily seem like that evil. They're just doing their job, and they're just there for the thrill of it. So, I don't know, I get the feeling they're going to turn good guys near the end of the show, but I think Bouquet, she'll turn first because, you know, it's a villain falling in love with a Blue Ranger. We've kind of seen that here and there in Sentai before, but we'll see what happens. And I feel like later on in the episode, when the Tegasword Festival comes into play, that's when the episode really kicks in the high gear, where we get a lot of cool action scenes. Now, there are some funny blink and you miss it at moments where they've got this Sword statue, but it's not really a statue. It's the suit actor, and if you look really carefully, you can tell it's not a mannequin, and it's the suit actor in the suit, and you can sort of see them moving a little bit if you like zoom in and slow it down a little bit. You can see them fidgeting in the background, and it's kind of funny, like in a way, it's kind of funny him wearing this super heavy suit, and he's got to hold that pose for a really long time. It sucks, but it's kind of funny that like you can sort of blink and you miss it, you can see the guy fidgeting in the suit. But we get some really cool fight scenes. We get this fight scene between Shining Knife and Sweet Cake and Mashiro, and I get the feeling with how the dialogue is presented in that scene where they're asking Mashiro to return the ring to Tegajun is that either way the bad guys will take it from force eventually, and they'll get a hold of Mashiro's ring, whether they turn him into an evil Six Ranger or they'll get a hold of the ring somehow or some shape or form. I get the feeling that's going to go down eventually later on in the show, because that's their whole goal, to get that ring from Mashiro, because that ring belongs to them. Well, they say it belongs to them, but that's the ring they need to sort of reset the universe. So I get the feeling that's going to lead into the end game eventually. Now, we also do get this really cool fight scene where Fire Candle as Shinkenji does fight the other Rangers, and you see some really good fight choreography in that scene. And one of the things you do see is you see Fire Candle using the Go-Go 5 ring, or Lightspeed Rescue for you Power Ranger fans out there, to use sort of that combined blaster that they use in the show. And what's really interesting is that like him using a Go-Go 5 ring, Fire Truck Ranger, fire-based, well, not fire-based powers. It wouldn't surprise me if Fire Candle gets all like the fire-based Ranger powers as the show goes on. That wouldn't surprise me if he gets that. But in the end, you do get the mech battle where you have Fire Candle going into his mech, and somehow he summons Shinken-Oh, but Shinken-Oh is evil and he's wearing this evil Oni mask. And Fire Candle has no idea how these powers work. He just thinks that the powers have taken a liking to him. So that's why you had the evil Shinken-Oh spawn in the end. But the good guys are able to purify it with a big ray of light in the end by sort of praying to take a sword, so that removes the mask from Shinken-Oh. And then we get this really awesome scene where you have Take a Sword or Horo and Take a Sword going into the sword mode that you can transform the Morpher into, or the Take a Sword into, and you have Shinkenji or Shinkeno using it as a sword, and that's how they defeat Fire Candle in the end. But Fire Candle still has his Shinkenja powers, which is good. I was worried that it's going to be a one and done thing within the next couple of episodes, and then the good guys get their powers back again. But I really hope that like Fire Candle has the rest of the powers, like for like maybe 10 or so episodes, like for the rest of this current story arc we've got going on right now. I don't want him to give it up, because I feel like these powers suit him, and with what this actor can do and sort of his fight, like his, or the sort of his mannerisms that the suit actor does with Fire Candle really suits it really well with how he sort of poses and bends down and stuff like that. So hopefully we see more of that. But the episode ends with Siluna feeling a lot better. She's sort of solving the mystery of who the mysterious grey-eyed man is, which their name is Ray, and it looks like Byakuya knows them, so we'll see where that's going to go in next week's episode moving forward. But overall, this was a fun episode of Shinkenja. Silly hijinks ensue, but we've still got some main plot stuff going on within the episode. We'll see where that goes moving forward. But overall, what did you think of this week's episode of Gozyuger? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Tell me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out, take care, bye.